Welcome to another edition of In the First District News that you can use. I am your host. My name is Othel Owen, and today we have a special visitor in our studio. We have the Commissioner Stanley Moore. Commissioner.
Thank you, man.
So good to have you here.
I appreciate you.
Thank you so very much.
Thank you for having
in
me
today. As we had mentioned before, we are talking about what's going on in the First District. And Commissioner Moore, his district is the largest district in the congressional district. But before we get into that, tell our viewing audience a little about your background and what the duties are of a Cook County Commissioner.
Well, first I want to say thank you for having me on the show. It's a pleasure to be here today. I'm Cook County Commissioner Stanley Moore of the 4th District. The 4th District is very vast. It is approximately 330,000 people that live in the 4th District. We have the 6th Ward, the 7th Ward, the 8th Ward, the 9th Ward, the 10th Ward, the 21st Ward, and a small portion of the 18th Ward, all within the 4th District. And then in the Southland, we have Lansing, Calumet City, Dalton, Burnham, and Linwood, just to name a few, and Evergreen Park.
So that is the largest district within the 1st Congressional District.
Correct. That's correct.
Okay. What are the duties of a commissioner? What does a commissioner do? And let our viewing audience know, because most people don't know what we do.
Yeah.
And that's why we're having this show, to not only bring people on, but to educate, to inform, because we need people to vote, and while you're voting. And let me say this, the 1st Congressional District, our office is located at 11750 Southwestern Avenue. Our phone number is 773-779-2400. Call, come by, let us know what your needs are. We are here to serve you. Now, Commissioner, what do you do?
Okay, so first let me say my office is at 118 North Clark.
Okay.
In the city of Chicago, room 567.
High rent district. Huh?
High rent district. But in the neighborhood, we're at 8233 South Princeton. Right here, 8233 South Princeton,
okay, behind
Bank of America.
Okay.
So we're located in the district as well. And our phone number is 773-783-2412. That's 773-783-2412. You can call us all during the day from 9 to 5. We're there. As a Cook County Commissioner, we're responsible for $8 billion budget. I'm one of 17 commissioners. That means I'm one of 17 that decides and votes on how that $8 billion is spent.
$8 billion?
$8 billion. And so it's your money. You should understand how we use it and how we spend it. Mm-hmm. And we've done some exciting things in the past. Basically, just like a state legislator or a state representative, I'm the policymaker for the county. Okay. I make laws, I pass laws, but more importantly than that, I'm responsible for trying to fix up my community. Any Cook County-owned property in my district, I want to make sure that it is flourishing and doing well. I don't want any more boarded up or abandoned buildings in my district.
There's plenty of that going on for sure. So
lately, what we've done, and I just want to tell you a little bit about some of the projects that we've done. We've done some amazing projects. Earlier, you mentioned Major Taylor Trail. I didn't know you were a cyclist, though.
Well, you know, I'm a novice cyclist. Because I was pedaling through there, and I saw the mural. Right there, located at 111th.
That's right.
And I said, whoa, who is this guy? And then I did my little research, and I followed the path. I said, hey, he's one of us. He's one of our own.
That's right.
And we should know about it. And then I find out that it's in the 1st District. Then I find out that you actually did some funding for that. Mm-hmm. Well, tell our listening, our viewing audience, who is Major Taylor?
I'm going to tell you a unique story.
Please.
My brother, Howard Brookins Jr., 21st Ward. He was one of the people who were instrumental in helping me to become Cook County Commissioner. And when I first became Cook County Commissioner, he said to me, be careful what you ask for, you just might get it. And so I didn't understand that statement. But he was talking about, one of the projects he was talking about was Major Taylor Trail. Major Taylor was, Chicago's full of rich history. Major Taylor was one of the first African-American cyclists, Olympic cyclists, to win the gold medal back in the day during World War II. He was an incredible cyclist, and with all the odds and the odds against him, he was able to take home the gold. And he was from Chicago, died here in Chicago. And so there are Major Taylor bicycle groups all over the nation named after him. And there was a Major Taylor Trail that John Stroger had dedicated in his honor years ago. But the trail fell in disrepair. It was in such bad shape. It was broken glass, cigarette butts, tall weeds. It was just in bad shape. And the city, bless their heart, was trying their best to maintain it. So they were cutting 6-foot-tall grass, and the people were afraid to ride the trail. It was just a bad situation. Communities were coming out trying to cut the grass with their own lawnmowers and things of that nature. It wasn't working. So when I got in office, I made it a thing that I wanted to change that. That was one of the things I wanted to change. And so I asked Howard Brookins to give that property that rode through my district to the county. And so he turned that property over to the county. The city gave control of that Major Taylor Trail to the Forest Preserve. And the Forest Preserve, we know how to maintain prairies and grass, and that's the thing that we do. We preserve property. And so we have cut the grass, maintained the grass, cut the trees back, made it beautiful, repaved sections of it, and made it beautiful again. When I first took office, bloggers used to write, "Stay off of Major Taylor Trail. It's dangerous. It's scary. They don't want to use it. It rode through a bad community." But today, people are writing, "Something has happened. It's changed. It's beautiful again." We spent $4 million in maintaining Major Taylor Trail and making it a beautiful place for children and families and communities to use.
Well, I'm going to challenge our viewing audience. Get out there and ride your bike on the trail when the weather permits, or even walk the trail, and you'll be amazed. Now, where can they enter the trail? Where does it start?
So, what's amazing is it's about 8 miles, 7.4, I think, to be exact. And you can start as far as like 82nd Street over near Damon. Yeah. And you can ride that trail all the way to about 134th Street, all the way out to the Southland, to the south suburbs. And, it has become an attraction, if you will. Yes. People and families, I see mothers pushing strollers on the Major Taylor Trail. I see kids riding their bicycle on the trail. I see adults riding with their fathers, riding with their sons. It is a place to be, and a place that everyone should go and use.
And it's ours.
It's ours.
It's ours. It's for us. It's by us. So we definitely want to take advantage of that. Now, before I forget, I just found this out. Juneteenth. Tell us about your role in Juneteenth.
So, that's incredible. And it's one of my proudest moments at the county board was when we proposed to make Juneteenth an official holiday. Nobody at government had done it at this point. The state of Illinois hadn't done it. The city of Chicago hadn't done it. Nobody had done it. And so we proposed at the Cook County Board to make Juneteenth an official holiday, and it got national attention.
It did.
People were amazed that we were able to pass something like that, a measure where we truly acknowledged Juneteenth. We didn't just make it ceremonial. We actually closed all the government offices and made it an official holiday. And right after that, the state of Illinois followed suit, and the city of Chicago followed suit.
Well, follow the leader, and that's why you're in that position. Those of us that have voted for you, we voted because of your leadership, your guidance, your thoughtfulness, and you're for the people. You're down for the people. Now, you talked a little bit about some of the areas in the neighborhoods. What neighborhoods and neighborhoods are you responsible for?
So like I said, again, all the neighborhoods that fall within the 6th, the 7th, the 8th, the 9th, the 10th in the 21st Ward, in a small part of the 18th Ward.
Okay, so a lot of our folks don't know about the wards.
Well, okay,
but some of the neighborhoods.
yeah, I'm glad you said it.
Yeah.
So let's do it like this. I go all the way on 95th Street to Pulaski.
So 95th from
95th and Pulaski, all the way to the lake.
Okay.
Okay?
Okay.
And then from about 75th Street north, all the way to Linwood to Lansing, Illinois.
Okay.
So if that gives you kind of a bird's eye view.
That helps our viewing audience, because we talk a lot about wards in this district and congressional districts. And a lot of times we can't visualize that.
Right.
When we talk about neighborhoods and streets, everybody knows 95th
So
Street.
we can say from Portillo's to South Shore Country Club.
I like that. So now, okay, so you talked earlier when we were preparing for the show about some of the services, and I was very interested in what you do on the second Saturday with the property tax. Tell our viewing audience some of the services that the commissioner provides.
So about 4 or 5 years ago, we were getting a lot of requests. People were calling in and talking to us about property tax appeal, how they could save some money on their property taxes. So we said, let's start doing a workshop. And so we put together a workshop. Every second Saturday, we have professionals come in. Mario Reed has been an attorney who has dedicated his time for free. We charge nothing. We don't want you to pay anything. We just want you to come in and get free information. So he comes in and he will teach people about how to file, how to get some of their money back when they file their taxes. And he works with all kinds of things. I mean,
this is just property taxes, right?
No, not just property taxes. We talk about wills and trusts. We talk about how to protect your most valuable asset, your home. We talk about how to set up a living will or a trust so that if you, also an instrument transfer on death. Most people don't even know what an instrument transfer on death is.
They don't.
If you pass away and you don't have a will or a trust, your property will go to probate.
Yes.
And probate is very expensive.
Yes.
And we've seen so many people
It eats
who
up
did
half
not
the money.
plan. And they passed away, and their children end up fighting it out in probate court. And they spend thousands and thousands of dollars in probate court. Well, there's a simple solution, something called property on transfer of death, which the Cook County clerk puts together for you.
Is there a fee to file that document?
It's like a $50 or $100. It's less than $100.
Is this information on your website?
It is.
And what's your website?
But I want you to come to the class.
Well, I understand.
I definitely want you to come to the class.
What's the website?
But it's www.stanley.more.org.
And the class is every second Saturday?
Every second Saturday, 8212, I'm sorry, that's my old address.
Okay.
8233 South Princeton Avenue.
And how long is the class?
It's an hour long.
From what time?
And we provide donuts and coffee and a little continental breakfast, so you should come on out. It's free for you.
Okay, and the start time?
It starts at 11 o'clock.
So not 11:30, not 11:05, 11 o'clock. So get there about 10:45, get yourself situated, and come and find out some valuable information to protect you. We're going to all need this. And unfortunately, we wait until we need it to seek it out. And we want to educate our folks. There are services that our elected officials bring to us, and we need to know about them. And the purpose of this show, this format, is to inform our folks in the 1st District what's going on. And Commissioner Stanley Moore has got a lot going on in the 1st District. Now, let me ask you this. How do you see the county working together with the congressman to help the constituents of the 1st District? How do you see...
Let me just say this. I am so excited about the congressman of our 1st Congressional District, Jonathan Jackson. He has done an amazing job, and he's an educator.
Yes.
First and foremost.
Yes.
Every time I sit down with him just to have a cup of coffee, he has to educate me on something new. So that's what I love about him. But he's an educator. He wants to teach. And what he needs to do is show people in our community how the U.S. government can help our constituents and
how it works.
Constituent services to our people. And our people need it. Do you remember the incident where the post office was delayed in delivering mail?
Still is.
People were complaining and complaining.
Yes.
That is a U.S. federal government issue. Jonathan will be the champion. He will fight for that type of stuff. He will make sure that our census numbers are so high that we won't have to worry about taxing our community just to get dollars for our schools, our roads, our bridges, and our transportation and infrastructure.
Okay, you said a key word there. You said that's a federal. So we got federal issues, we got county issues, and then we got city issues. So how does this all work? Someone comes to you with a city issue. How do you resolve that? How do you advise them?
Well, see, you know, we got, anytime you hear the word city of Chicago, you know that's your alderman. Anytime you hear the word county of Cook, you know that's your commissioner. And every time you hear federal, you know that's your congressman. So,
okay, so say that again. Say it slow for our viewing audience.
If I say to you, Chicago Public Schools, the key word being Chicago, that's your alderman.
Okay.
If I say Chicago Police Department, key word Chicago, that means that's your alderman. If I say county sheriff is coming to evict you, that's your county commissioner. And if I say the FBI is coming, that's your federal government.
Okay.
So
what we want to do here is let our folks know there are various resources here, and you have to identify what the issue is so you know which resource to reach out to. Now, in the first congressional office, if you call 779-2400, and that's area code 773, we will guide you and assist you. If it's a federal issue, we will address it. If it's a county issue, we will guide you to the proper representative as well as the city. So please use the services that you voted for. Use the people that you put in office. And I have to say this again and again, if you don't vote, you don't get a chance to talk trash.
That's right.
We need people to vote. We ask people to vote. It's the way that we exercise our power. Now, let me ask you this now. In this redistricting, because of the census, and you're the census guru, am I right?
That's right.
All
That's
right. So why was the census so important, and what impact did it have on the redistricting?
Oh, it was the most instrumental thing that ever impacts redistricting. Listen, most people don't understand that if you're not counted, you don't exist. Everything is based off of the numbers. How much money goes into our schools is based on how many people live in this community. How much money goes into fixing these streets, roads, and bridges is based on how many people live in this community. How much money goes into housing is based on how many people live in this community. And if that number is off, everything else is off. If people don't want to be counted, don't blame the city, the mayor, for the state of your schools. Because if the kids don't show up on day one and they're not counted,
that's a big deal.
It affects their dollars.
That day one thing is everything.
That's right. So you have hurt your school's funding for the rest of the year. It's all based on the numbers and being counted.
So, okay. So now this redistricting was a direct result of the census.
That's right.
So it got smaller, right? Did your territory get smaller?
No.
Did the first congressional district get smaller?
I don't think it got smaller as in population. I will say this. Let me give you an example. The 34th Ward and the 21st Ward lost population, according to the census. Which, that's another story. I don't believe they actually lost population. But what happened was those folks weren't counted. Okay? So when they're not counted, at the end, the census says, well, there's not that many people that live in 34. They've moved away. They didn't say they weren't counted. They just said they weren't moved away. So what happens is now you've taken the resources of the 34th Ward and the resources of the 21st Ward, and you combine them into one to make up for their lost population. So if you thought your alderman didn't have enough money to fix your streets, your roads, and your bridges before, now his same budget is working to fix the roads, the streets, and the bridges for 2 wards.
So that's how that works.
That's how that works.
Now, the census come every 10 years.
Every 10 years.
So we just had one in 2020. So now 2030.
So for the next 10 years, the resources of the 21st Ward are going to be stretched very thin because now it has to encompass 2 wards.
Didn't know that, and I'm sure our viewing audience didn't know that either. We just had some assumptions. And then once again, you mentioned, education. We have to educate ourselves, educate our communities, educate each other on how this thing works, how our local government supports itself, and how we collectively, collaboratively work within the system, work with each other. Now, our time is slipping away from us. I didn't want to get away. Tell us a little bit about your background and about who Stanley Moore is, because you're such a champion out here on the front line. You're a father, you're a leader, you're a teacher, you're alpha man. Can't miss that. But who's Stanley Moore? Share that with our viewing audience.
I'm glad you asked, and I hope I don't bore you, but my father was the regional director of the U.S. Census Bureau for almost 60 years.
Stop. 60
years
That's,
on the job.
That's a hell of a commitment. Would you start when he was 10?
Yeah, I think so. At least that's what he tells me. But he's probably one of the longest serving civil servant employees of the federal government, still alive today, serving 60 years in the U.S. He's the godfather of the census. And so growing up, man, he used to just push and push and push, tell me, pay attention to the numbers, pay attention to the census. For some reason, when we start talking about numbers, we get sleepy. When we start talking about the census, we get sleepy. But we shouldn't get sleepy. We should get woke.
Energized.
Because we need to understand why our dollars are not coming back to our community, why we are not getting the funding that we deserve. It's all based on those numbers. Some people think that they hide, no, I don't want the government in my business. Well, at this opportunity, you do.
Yes.
You want the government in your business because we need those dollars for our community. And so if we do not participate, we lose. So right out of college, I used to write letters to then Emo Jones, minority leader.
Yeah.
And I used to write these letters and say, I want to come work for you. I want to come work for you. And I just bothered him until he probably wanted to put a restraining order on me, but he didn't. And he gave me my first job working for him. He said, the only way I'll hire you if you come to Springfield. I said, what? Why can't I work for you downtown Chicago? He said, no, you're going to move to Springfield if you want to work for me. Well, turned out to be one of the best things I ever did. I went to Springfield, Illinois, and he put me immediately on the budget staff. And on the budget staff, we learned how to move money from one aspect to another. We learned how the state funds projects to get things done in everybody's community. We learned, and that's why now I understand about moving the dollars around, bringing dollars onto my community. Emo used to say, if you're at dinner, you're either on the table or you're on the menu. And if you're on the menu, you're getting eaten.
That's right.
But if you're at the table, you get to eat.
So at an early age, you developed this political sense. I mean, based on your father, based on the environment.
Yeah.
It started with Emo Jones. Phenomenal opportunity.
Phenomenal.
I mean, the man, he's legendary. The things that he's done, he's given back. His guidance. His son has taken on the mantle. So that's historical in his own side. So, okay, keep going. So you started with Emo. You stayed there for a little while.
Stayed there for about 3 years, and then after I left there, I went to work for United Way. And I learned, that's where I got my non-for-profit experience. United Way was the largest fundraiser of non-for-profits anywhere in the country. We raised probably almost $900 million at the time when we were there. I don't think United Way is doing those type of numbers now. But we raised a lot of money, and we helped a lot of people. And I got a lot of satisfaction out of seeing the money that we worked so hard to raise go to the community and make a difference, make a change.
Well, you're a community servant. That's what you do, man. It's servants of all. You bring these dollars back, and now you're explaining how this process affects us. Okay, so United Way, then where to from there?
And then after I left United Way, I went to work for United Negro College Fund. And it was incredible. I was doing the same thing. And the reason I left United Way, because all I was doing was fundraising, and I never got a chance to see the money, who it actually got to and who it helped.
Who it touched.
And I wanted to see who it touched.
Yeah.
And so when I went to United Negro College Fund was incredible because I got the chance to meet some of the kids that were applying for our scholarships.
Yeah, I bet.
We worked for kids that Chicago public school kids, we sent them out for 4-year degrees. I have people to this day that call me and say, because of you, I had a scholarship, a full ride. I'm a lawyer today, or I'm a doctor today.
What a beautiful
because you
feeling.
raise money for
what
us.
a beautiful feeling. So you don't have to make them to make them yours.
Yeah.
Fatherhood is the greatest fraternity of all.
That's right.
And we impact and we affect everyone. You just never know what seed you're gonna plant and how it's being watered. So okay, so UNCF, you left there.
After I left there, Emo called me back to Springfield and wanted to do round two, and I went back and I worked for the Illinois Department of Transportation as director of small business. And what he wanted there was, he said, Stanley, these African American firms are not getting their fair share. And so he brought me back to make sure that African American and Latino companies started getting their fair share.
Okay, so our time is running, and I asked you all of that to let our viewer audience know who we have at the helm. We got a brother like you with all this experience who is willing to share, who is willing to support the community, who is a community advocate. We all need advocates, and we have advocates. And I want our viewing audience to know you have advocates. Call 773-779-2400. The office is located at 11750 Southwestern Avenue. Your address?
And we're at 118 North Clark, and we're also at 8233 South Princeton, and the number's 312-603-2065.
I want to thank you again, Commissioner.
Thank you, man.
For coming in and joining us.
That's our aim.
And I'm going to ask our viewing audience to tune in for another edition in the 1st District, news that you can use. Until next time.